a time, in a lush green valley nestled between rolling hills and a dense whispering forest, there lived an old mother goat. She had 7 young kids whom she loved with all the tenderness and ferocity that a mother's heart can hold. They lived in a charming cottage at the edge of the woods, a house built of sturdy oak and thatched with golden straw, surrounded by a garden where the sweetest clover and wildest herbs grew in abundance. The family was a happy one, though the mother's brow was often furrowed with worry. The forest nearby was deep and dark, and it was the hunting ground of a fearsome creature, the big bad wolf. He was a beast of shadow and malice, known throughout the valley for his cunning mind and his insatiable hunger. One crisp autumn morning, the mother goat found that the pantry was bare. There was no fresh grass, no savory herbs, and not a drop of sweet milk left for her growing brood. She knew she had to venture into the forest to gather food, a task that filled her with trepidation. She gathered her 7 children in the main room of the cottage. They tumbled over one another, a chaotic jumble of bleats, wagging tails, and soft fur. There was the eldest, a stout and serious kid who liked to think he was in charge, the twins, who were never apart, the dreamer, who spent hours staring at dust motes, the glutton, who was always chewing on table legs, the playful one, who leaped over furniture, and the youngest, a tiny, wide-eyed kid who rarely spoke but saw everything. "My dear children," the mother goat began, her voice grave, "I must go into the forest to fetch food. While I am away, you must be on your guard against the wolf. If he gets in, he will eat you all up, skin, hair, and all."
He'll say, "Open the door, children, but look for his black feet. Do not be deceived."
The kids nodded solemnly, though the glutton was eyeing a stray piece of straw on the floor. "He is a master of disguise," the mother continued, pacing before the hearth, "but you will know him by his rough, gravelly voice and his black feet. Do not open the door for anyone but me. Do you understand?" "Yes, mother," they chorused in their high, bleating voices. "We will be careful. Don't worry about us."
He may try to trick you with a rough voice and black feet, so be careful, my little ones. Now listen closely. While I am away, you must promise me you won't open this door. Out in that forest is a very dangerous wolf. See the shadows in the woods. That is where the great danger lies. Promise me you will stay inside until I return."
We promise. We promise.
With a final nuzzle for each of them, she took her basket and stepped out into the sunlight. She locked the heavy wooden door behind her, her heart heavy, but hopeful that her warnings would keep them safe.
Woohoo! This is the best! More pillows! Yum! Cookies!
The house was quiet for a time. The kids played their games, feeling the thrill of being home alone. But it wasn't long before a shadow fell across the front step. A heavy fist pounded on the door. Bang, bang, bang. "Open the door, my dear children," a voice boomed from outside. It was deep, rasping, and harsh, like stones grinding together in a cavern.
"Open the door, my dear children. Your mother is here and has brought you something nice."
The 7 kids froze. They looked at one another, their ears twitching. They remembered their mother's words instantly. "We will not open the door," cried the eldest kid, puffing out his chest. "You are not our mother. She has a soft and pleasant voice, but your voice is rough. You are the wolf." Outside, the wolf growled low in his throat. His first trick had failed. He turned on his heel and slunk away from the cottage, his yellow eyes narrowing. He needed to change his voice. He loped through the forest until he reached the village on the other side. He found a general store and burst in, startling the shopkeeper. "Give me a great lump of chalk," the wolf demanded, baring his teeth. The terrified shopkeeper handed over a large block of white chalk. The wolf snatched it up and swallowed it whole. The chalk coated his throat, soothing the rasp, smoothing the growl, until his voice became soft and high, almost like a goat's bleat. Triumphant, he returned to the cottage. He knocked gently this time. Tap, tap, tap. "Open the door, my dear children," he called out, his voice now silky and sweet. "Your mother is here, and I have brought something nice for each of you." The kids pricked up their ears. The voice sounded right. It was soft, high, and gentle. The glutton moved toward the latch, eager for the promised treats. But the youngest kid, who was hiding near the windowsill, saw something pressing against the glass. Two massive paws, covered with coarse black fur, were resting on the ledge as the wolf peered in. "Wait," squeaked the youngest. "Look at the window." The others looked and gasped.
We won't open! Our mother has white feet, but yours are black. You are the wolf!
Outside, the wolf cursed under his breath. He looked down at his paws, cursing his own nature. He needed to hide the darkness of his fur. He ran back to the village, this time heading for the baker. "Baker!" the wolf roared.
Aha! I've got it. That will work perfectly.
"Rub some dough over them to soothe the pain." The baker, seeing the beast's razor-sharp claws, trembled but obeyed. He covered the wolf's black paws in sticky gray dough. "Now," he commanded, "pour white flour over them." The baker hesitated. He was a simple man, but he was not a fool. He suspected the wolf intended to deceive someone. I cannot," the baker stammered. The wolf leaned in close, his hot breath smelling of chalk and hunger. "If you do not do it, I will eat you right here, apron and all." Terrified, the baker dusted the dough-covered paws with fine white flour until they looked as pristine and white as the mother goat's hooves. For the third time, the wolf approached the cottage. He felt a dark thrill of anticipation. This time, everything was perfect. He knocked. Tap, tap, tap. "Open the door, dear children," he sang in his chalk-softened voice. "Your mother is here, and I have brought something nice for each of you from the forest." "Show us your feet first," the kids cried out, wary but hopeful, "so that we may know if you are truly our mother." The wolf lifted his paws and placed them on the window ledge. The kids gathered around and saw the white flour. They saw the pale shape and believed it was their mother's hoof. "It is her! It is Mother!" they cheered.
It's Mother! It's Mother!
The eldest kid slid back the heavy bolt and pulled the door open. The door swung wide, but instead of the warm, comforting presence of their mother, a towering mass of gray fur and snapping teeth burst into the room. The wolf roared, his voice returning to its natural thunder as the chalk wore off in his excitement. "I have you now," he bellowed. Pandemonium erupted. The kids screamed, scattering in every direction like leaves in a gale. They tried to hide, their hooves clattering frantically on the wooden floor. The eldest dove under the heavy oak table. The second sprang into the bed and burrowed under the quilt. The third scrambled into the wood-burning stove, which was thankfully cold. The fourth ran into the kitchen and squeezed into the pantry. The fifth hid in the cupboard among the pots and pans. The sixth crouched under the large wash bowl. The seventh, small and quick, leapt inside the tall grandfather clock case and pulled the door shut, trembling in the darkness among the swinging pendulum and brass weights. But the wolf was fast, and he was hungry. He found them one by one. He tossed the table aside and swallowed the eldest. He ripped the quilt away and swallowed the second. He reached into the stove, the pantry, the cupboard, and under the wash bowl. One after another, he gulped them one whole. In his greed, he didn't even chew. Only the youngest, hidden in the clock case, remained undiscovered. The wolf sniffed the air, but the scent of the other six was so strong and his belly was so full that he missed the faint scent of the seventh. Stuffed and sluggish, the wolf staggered out of the house. "A good meal," he mumbled, belching loudly. He walked to the meadow, found a large tree with spreading branches, and collapsed beneath it. Within moments, he was fast asleep, his snores shaking the leaves overhead. Not long after, the mother goat returned from the forest. She hummed a happy tune.
La da 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 da. What a lovely day.
Her basket heavy with sweet grass and clover. But as she crested the hill, her song died in her throat. The door to the cottage stood wide open. The table and chairs were overturned. The bedclothing were torn from the bed, and feathers floated in the silent air.
Children?
"Children," she whispered. Then she screamed, "Children!" She called them by name, one by one.
Eldest. Twins.
But no answer came. She searched the wreckage, her heart breaking with every overturned chair. Finally, as she approached the grandfather clock, she heard a tiny, muffled voice.
Mother, I am here.
"Mother, I am here, in the clock case." She tore the door open and lifted her youngest child out. He was shaking uncontrollably. "The wolf came," he sobbed, burying his face in her fur. "He ate them all, everyone. Only I am left." The mother goat wept, her tears falling onto the youngest's head. But as her sorrow deepened, a spark of anger ignited within her. She was not just a victim, she was a mother. "Come," she said, her voice steely through her tears. "We will go and find this monster." They left the cottage and followed the trail of trampled grass into the meadow. There, under the great tree, lay the wolf. He was snoring so loudly that the branches vibrated. The mother goat looked at him with loathing, but then she noticed something strange. The wolf's distended belly was moving. It shifted and writhed as if something alive was inside. "Merciful heavens," she whispered. "Could it be? Did he swallow my poor children whole? Are they still alive in that dark dungeon?" She turned to the youngest kid. "Run home, little one. Run as fast as you can. Fetch my scissors and a needle and the strongest thread you can find." The youngest kid dashed away and returned in moments, breathless, clutching the sewing kit. The mother goat approached the sleeping beast. The wolf was in such a deep, gluttonous slumber that he did not stir. With a steady hand, she took the scissors and snipped open his belly. She had barely made a small cut when a little head popped out.
Mother.
She cut further, and one by one, all 6 kids sprang out, alive and unharmed. They had been swallowed so quickly that they had not even been bruised. They hugged their mother, bleeding with joy, leaping around her like crickets. "Hush now," the mother commanded, though her own heart was soaring. "We are not finished. Go quickly to the brook and fetch great stones, as many as you can carry. We will fill this beast's belly while he still sleeps." The 7 kids ran to the brook and dragged back the heaviest, smoothest stones they could find. They packed them into the wolf's stomach, one after another, until he was filled to the brim. Then the mother goat took her needle and thread and sewed him up with such speed and skill that the wolf never even twitched. Once the deed was done, the mother and her children hid behind a thicket of bushes to watch. After a time, the wolf woke up. He stretched and yawned, his great jaws snapping shut. He felt incredibly heavy and uncomfortable. "My goodness," he muttered, rubbing his stomach. "Those little goats are sitting heavy in my belly. They are not as tender as I thought." He stood up, intending to go for a walk, but the stones clashed and clattered inside him. He stumbled, surprised by the noise and the weight. "What is this rumble and tumble?" he sang out in a groggy voice. "Against my poor bones. I thought it was 6 young kids, but it feels like big, rough stones." He was struck by a terrible thirst. The salty dough and the heavy meal had parched his throat. "Water!" he croaked. "I need water!" He waddled toward the village well, his belly swaying and knocking with every step. It was a struggle just to keep his balance. When he finally reached the edge of the well, he leaned over to drink the cool, dark water. But the stones were too heavy. As he leaned forward, gravity took hold. The weight of the rocks dragged him down. He scrabbled at the stone wall of the well, but it was no use. Splash! The wolf fell headfirst into the deep water. He sank like a stone, dragged to the bottom by the weight of his own greed, and drowned miserably. From behind the bushes, the 7 young kids and their mother saw it all. They ran to the well and peered down into the dark water. The wolf was gone.
The wolf is dead!
They cried out in jubilation. They danced around the well, holding hands, the mother goat in the center and her 7 children circling her. The sun seemed to shine brighter, the birds sang sweeter, and the valley was safe once more. They returned to their cottage, where they made a great feast of the herbs and milk the mother had brought, grateful to be together, whole and safe in the warmth of their home.